So I'm always getting asked, Sean, what is the best programming language to learn if I'm just getting into it? I just turned 40. Can I still learn to program? I mean, what programming language do I pick up first? Which one's the easiest to learn? Which one's going to help me get a job? Well, in this video, I'm going to very plainly tell you exactly. Okay, so I'm asked all the time, Sean, what programming language can I start? How can I get to where you're at the fastest? What do I need to do to learn programming? Whether you want to build a startup, whether you want to get a job at some company, or you want to work for one of the big tech firms, the main firms, whatever it is. Where do you start? Well, which programming language should you start first? I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to be pretty blunt about it too. So here it goes. First of all, learn HTML, learn CSS, learn how those things work together. Then learn JavaScript, and then after you master JavaScript and learn the fundamentals of how all three of those programming languages work, learn React. After you learn and master React, and you can take an application and you can read, update, delete, your basic CRUD operations with React, interact with things, you know how to build UIs, you know how to structure things correctly, and then learn SQL. Not NoSQL, not MongoDB, not Firebase, learn NoSQL. And I'm going to explain to you why here in just a minute, but that's what you'll need to learn. Then after you do that, learn Python. So those languages right there, learn those. If you learn those, then you can master anything, and I'll tell you why. That's because the fundamentals of connecting to any device is a UI, and HTML and CSS are the basis for pretty much all UIs, except if it's on a desktop application or on a mobile device. So using JavaScript and React library, we can use different frameworks like Electron and React Native, and we can use JavaScript and web languages to code mobile apps, desktop applications, and even applications for iOS or IoT devices. So we can do a lot of things with just this handful of programming languages that I'm touching. Plus, if you learn the fundamentals of JavaScript, you learn how object-oriented programming works, and you learn how functional programming works. And one other thing I forgot to mention before with the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, the React, the SQL, and the Python is when using React, and once you get good at it and once you feel comfortable with working with React, throw some Typescript on it. I bet that a lot of you out there thought I was going to forget that. No, I wasn't going to forget that. Use some Typescript. So Typescript, pretty important because it helps us explicitly determine what everything that we're using within our code actually does. Because we can actually get things cross-configured, whether it's adding a number to a string of letters. We can do that in JavaScript, and it actually returns values where you think you would probably supposed to get an error. So we want to explicitly type out what everything is supposed to do, whether it's supposed to be a name, a string, a function, no matter what it is. And so again, learn your basics: HTML, CSS. Don't spend too much time on that. They're pretty easy. All you're doing is wrapping things in tags and then applying styles to them. Pretty simple. Learn the JavaScript though. The JavaScript is very important. Learn that, learn the fundamentals of it, get good at it. Then after that, once you feel comfortable with that, throw some React on top of it. After you throw some React on top of it and you built a couple applications and you feel comfortable and you connect on it, learn SQL, learn MySQL, learn how to connect that application you built to a real database, whether it's Postgres, MariaDB, MySQL, it doesn't matter. As long as you're doing SQL, as long as you're calling queries, then after you're done with that, learn some Python, because Python is very versatile too. We can use Python on mobile devices, desktop devices, on the web, on IoT devices, pretty much anything. And just as a side note, if you want to take these languages and actually apply them to something that's going to translate into real world value for you, here's a couple things that you can learn using those programming languages. Learn how APIs work. Heck, learn how to build an API. Learn how to first and foremost call an API and use code to do it and return the things that you are calling in your UI or your browser. Very basic fundamental stuff that you need to know, and that it's got some abstraction. It is complex, to starters, but knowing this is kind of a basic requirement at any company that you plan on getting a job at. Or, you know, if you're going to start up an application, you're going to need APIs. I would stay away from GraphQL until first you master the basics of REST API. Other than that, learn how authentication works. Learn how LDAP and SAML and, you know, SSOs and all these different authentication and resource access technologies work. That's going to be very, 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 very important. And then after that, use these languages to learn security, because whatever application you build, you got to learn that there's people out there trying to be, you know, anti-productive and hack your stuff. You need to learn how to write secure, clean code, and that is very, very important. Hope you guys liked it. Thank you. Talk to you later.